right. You ready? You're recording.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome back to Camping with Katie. We are 4 weeks, hard to believe, 4 weeks past DBS, and I'm doing fantastic. So we just wanted to give you a update video on how things have been and where we are now. My first surgery was March 18th, and that was to replace my battery. God answered a lot of prayers real fast, and I was able to get the rechargeable battery, which should last about 15 to 20 years, which is about as long as my DBS system is supposed to last. So excited about that. That takes us from surgery every 3 years to 15 to 20, and when you're almost 40, that's a lot of 3 years. My second surgery was March 28th, and that was the brain surgery. Thankfully, it was much shorter this time. It was only, 2?
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours long instead of the 6.5 we had last year. And that has greatly helped my recovery and helped everybody.
Yeah, she was doing better just out of surgery than she was doing after 24 hours or longer last time. So
doing a lot better this time. I remember a lot more about this surgery. They didn't dope me up quite as well when they put the halo on, but that's okay. As bad as it was, I would do it again. Then April 1st, we showed up at Callahan Eye Hospital for my third surgery, which was connect my brain and my battery, to be told that I was not on schedule. They had no record of me supposing to have surgery that day. And so at 5:30 that morning, we started a flurry of praying and texting people to pray and phone calls. And God worked it all out, and I was only about an hour late going into surgery that day. That surgery was by far the most intense as far as pain and recovery from my perspective. They did the tunneling that day, which is where they go under your skin to run the wires.
Yeah, route those wires
down to the battery. And anytime they talk about tunneling, it's not going to be pleasant. But again, we were able to get my pain under control within about 48 hours. And I was able to start driving about 2 weeks later. Wasn't long after I got my staples out that I was able to start driving, and did too much the first week. Yes, I know, you say, go figure, it's you're going to do too much. Since then, we've tried to take it easy. It's hard sometimes to remember that I have had 3 surgeries because I feel so good. This time last year, I was just now beginning to get back to life, to get back to church. But I've been blessed to be able to be at church for the last 2 weeks and been able to take the kids to Taekwondo, just having to take it easy around the house and trying not to get into too much trouble as best I can.
Well, something we didn't mention then is at that third surgery, they went ahead and turned on the stimulator that they had just put in, and on a very low setting. And when she came home on the first 48 hours, she was having some problem with tremoring, but that seemed to be a combination of things, combination of having the stimulator on.
Yeah.
We'll let this truck pass. Or motorcycle. Having the stimulator turned on, having the her normal regimen of medicine for Parkinson's, and then also having the narcotics from the surgery for pain relief, and all of those things together seemed to be causing some problems. And so we said, well, until we get your pain under control, let's take some of those things out of the equation. Turned off the stimulator,
the new side,
turned that off, and I can't remember what you did with your Parkinson's medicine.
We
You
continued
it
as normal.
as normal
Yeah.
until she got over those first few days and weaned off of the pain medicine back down to normal medicines for pain, and then we went. Still noticed some issues. Turned back on the stimulator,
Yep. We turned it back on a week after surgery.
and immediately noticed that her. I'll say that was a
on
Friday
Friday.
morning.
I took my meds.
She'd
at
taken
6
her
o'clock
medicine at 6 o'clock.
that morning
Turned the stimulator on
at 10.
at 10 and was having the effect of both together were
More than I needed.
more than she needed.
Yeah.
And so she did not take her 10 o'clock dose of medicine. And
Haven't taken any since.
I think there was one evening she took a low dosage
Yeah.
carbidopa levodopa time release to see if that would help with sleeping. Now, that Friday, all day long, she did not move at all. Tremoring on either side just wasn't there. And for the last 3 years, when we go to bed at night, I know when she goes to sleep because she would be shaking the whole bed, and then she would fall to sleep and stop moving. But I was kind of overwhelmed sitting there and saying, well, wow, she's just still. She's just still. This is amazing. And then she went to sleep and immediately began to start moving. And so, and that seems to be a very common sleep issue for people dealing with Parkinson's is
It's REM disorder. REM is your rapid eye movement. That's your dream state of sleep. And when you go to sleep, you tend to, some people act out their dreams. I just thrash about and waller about and cause neither of us to sleep.
So we dealt with that for a couple of nights. That was over the weekend, and got a hold of our nurse practitioner on Monday morning.
Yes.
And she suggested just to try melatonin regimen, which Katie had been taking melatonin throughout the year anyway, to help with resting and sleeping. But that seems to have mostly
For the most
fix
part,
that problem,
it's taking
so.
care of it. I just doubled what I was taking, plus a little more. So I'm taking 7 milligrams of melatonin at night. And that's all I'm taking. And I'm still. I've had no Parkinson's meds for 3 weeks or more. And I'm still. And I can't, I don't have the words to begin to describe what it's like.
And it's more than just being still.
Yes,
She's
it
looser.
is.
She's her gait as she walks is
Normalized.
more normal, and is still trying to figure out what all has changed. Part of it is she's been on medication, 4 or 5 times a day for 3 years.
Yep.
And suddenly that's gone, and trying to, like with the REM sleep disorder, we didn't know she was having that issue because the medication had masked that, I suppose. So we're finding out some of those things, what's really there, and
Who I am again.
yeah. And so you've got highs and lows, and on the family end, as far as the kids are concerned, I think has been far more positive. Katie has laughed and smiled more in the last month than she has in 3 years. Which is
Helps everybody.
it helps everybody. From a caretaker's position, there are a lot of highs and lows because you see the good things, the good benefits, and like the night she came off her medicine, you're sitting there almost overwhelmed to the point of tears that she's doing so well and not moving, and then a minute later she's asleep and thrashing about, and you're like, oh goodness, if this happens all night, now I'm not going to sleep. What's wrong? What's happened? What's changed? And so there's an emotional and mental toll that takes on you. But at the same time, the net benefit is just almost indescribable.
It is.
Yep.
It is. So we are now, the kids have, I think, 8 days of school left? No. 12 days of school left. So they're ready to be finished. So working on finishing school, I've been asked to speak at the Parkinson's Association of Alabama's annual symposium at the Barber Motorsports Museum. That'll be May 14th. I will be speaking that morning on young onset Parkinson's. In fact, I just missed a call from them. Call them back in a minute. And that afternoon, I will be on a discussion panel. Not really sure what that'll be. Then, let's see, Bible school is coming up in June, so we're starting to gear up for that. So life is, in our world, is always busy, always something going on, but...
And eventually we'll get to go camping again at some point.
Looking forward to going camping again. But just thank you. There really aren't the right words to say. Through all of you and so many others, God has provided above and beyond my medical expenses. We've been fed
Too
tremendously.
Much. Yeah, that's one over the past year. I'd lost a lot of weight there. Mercy, a couple of years back, and you know how that goes. You don't eat, you lose weight. You eat, you don't lose weight, you gain weight. And really, after the tornado hit last year, you know, the presence of food was there, and you're having to go and eat and function, and so that was really the beginning of the end of my weight loss. But over the past year, the stresses and everything, and I'm a bad stress eater. Just if I get stressed, I eat. And that's what I do. So I've gained a lot of that weight back, not all of it, praise God, but working on that now. So covet your prayers and for that, because it's nicer to feel better than you do when you weigh 350-ish pounds. So anyway.
But thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love, your support, the phone calls, the texts, the cards, the physical gifts, the financial gifts, the food. We are blessed by you. Thank you.
Absolutely.